Good evening and welcome to the 7th Mountain View Fire Community Workshop. My name is Justin Caparuso. I'm with Mono County. We are broadcasting on Zoom as well as Facebook Live, streaming to our Mountain View Fire Resources and Recovery page. Just a few housekeeping items for the webinar. There is a chat function as well as a Q&A function in Zoom, and we are going to be going through our presentation, and at the end of the presentation, we'll address Q&A. And so we encourage you, after we're through with our presentation or during, to insert your questions into the Q&A chat on the Zoom or into a comment on Facebook, and we'll be monitoring both. We want to remind you about the Mountain View Fire Resources portal, which is a website that's devoted to information and resources related to the recovery effort. And we will put that into the chat as well so that you can bookmark that for yourself. And then we've also been recently, Mary Boer's been holding office hours, and I'm going to turn it over to Mary really quickly to talk about what the office hours are and what upcoming dates are looking like. Mary?
Good evening, everyone. So I am at the Walker Senior Center Monday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. for at least the next 2 weeks. The last week in April, I might have to change that schedule, but I'm actually looking at maybe making one of them an evening office hours. So if you want an appointment, please feel free to email me. I will put my email address in the chat. And if you need evening hours or you want to Zoom with me, we're also welcome to do that. And I might not be able to answer all your questions, but I can get them to the right people and work on getting you answers.
Great, thanks, Mary. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Supervisor John Peters to lead the rest of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Justin. Thought I was on mute for a second. Apologize for starting a few minutes late. We were trying to get organized here. And part of the delay was there are a couple county folks on their way to Southern California to pick up trailers, which is good news. But we'll get an incident update, an overall update, and that'll probably come from Mary and maybe also our CAO, Bob Lawton. Justin Nalder is one of those who's en route to Los Angeles. Dina Wilson from Cal OES and Louis Molina will give an update on the debris removal. Gerald Frank from our finance office will give an update on property insurance. And also he can be here to answer any questions you may have on property taxes. Temporary housing update will be provided by Mary as well. Building and permitting update by April. And I just wanted to say that I know that it has been and continues to be a very difficult time. It is, it's a recovery that's going to require a lot of patience, as I know most of you are showing, and also just good communication. So we want to continue to provide good communication and resources and help aid in the recovery. The Board of Supervisors continues to focus on streamlining along with community development, any special needs, anything in regards to permitting and fees, and working together, hopefully on the same page with the same, wanting the same outcome with the special districts, the school and the fire district. And I also just wanted to mention that if you haven't heard about it already, the Nevada Resilience Project will be back this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Antelope Valley Community Center. That's this Saturday at 1 p.m. So if you want more information about that, Kathy Peterson with Social Services is always available, or you can email us through the Mountain View Fire web portal. But I don't want to take up any more time. We'll try to answer everyone's questions and get the resources out to you that are pertinent to the day. Oh, and we have Justin Nalder just joining us, so that's great. So he can give the incident update. And I'll pass it over to him right now. Justin? Maybe he can't hear. I'm not sure.
Seem to
Yeah,
have
we'll
lost
see.
Justin.
Yeah,
So I'll jump in.
Thank you, Mary.
So debris removal's been going on now for 3 or 4 weeks, and Dina will give us more of an update on that. So you've probably seen a lot of activity in the valley. We have questions that have come up even on weekends. The state has been very responsive to helping us try and get answers, especially when those questions may be urgent. In terms of the trailers, and this kind of bleeds into the temporary housing update, but as Supervisor Peters mentioned, Justin and a team of our staff, Jason and Dawn, are in LA this week inspecting the trailers. Our goal is to have the contract for transportation in place this week and have them start transporting trailers up here next week. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Supervisor Peters.
Thank you very much, Mary. And we also discussed as sort of a organizational, operational strategy moving forward, the potential to have a separate Zoom with the people that are part of the trailer acquisition fire survivor group. So stand by for that, and we'll know more about that moving forward. We're going to kind of go as a to be announced next Mountain View Fire Community Workshop number 8. It may be or it could be as early as next week or in a couple of weeks. So Justin Alder, are you all tuned in now? Can you give a report?
Yeah, I think I can give a brief update. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So as Mary mentioned, we are down in LA going through trailer inspections. We've got 36 on our list that we are intending to bring up by way of transport contractor. And we're ensuring that everything is working properly and is safe enough for use. And
Lost him again.
Okay. So Mary, why don't we move to Dina and let Dina give her update, and then we can follow up with more general Mountain View Fire overview update.
Thank you, Supervisor Peters. So the update that I have for the community today is that we have been able to clear 28 properties thus far in the community, which is great progress. We have about 7 crews that are working in the area. And right now they're moving as quickly as I can. As Mary kind of alluded to, we're hoping to have the majority of that debris removal done towards the end of this month, beginning of May. So we are working to keep that. We may add another crew to that, but we're also cognizant of the amount of trucks that we have in the area. So we want to make sure that we keep the area safe for residents and our crews as we're working. There's just a couple of things I wanted to follow up on, if that's okay, Supervisor Peters, just some things that have come up in the last couple of weeks as we started debris removal activities. And so I wanted to make sure the homeowners were well aware of sort of the phases that we have. And I've mentioned it before on past community meetings, but I wanted to reiterate, we do have about 7 to 9 phases of debris removal. So just because you see contractors out there doing the hard stuff with their bulldozers and buckets and big trucks does not mean that it ends the debris removal process. There's still a couple of processes after that. And so we're really asking homeowners to be cognizant of when our crews are on their property, just in case that they are scheduling other work that they would like done. We can't at this time have any other contractors on the property while we're doing our work until we're able to return that to the county and the county is able to return it to the homeowner. Otherwise, it gets into safety issues with homeowners. And even those that where the homeowners are still able to live on their properties, sometimes they had maybe outbuildings that were destroyed or garages, and they live on the property. We tend to try to coordinate those activities with the homeowner there so that we make sure that we keep everybody safe. So I wanted to bring that up. And if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to take those. Additionally, a couple of questions came up regarding concrete slabs. As part of the state debris removal program, we do take concrete slabs that were underneath the foundation of your home or your garage or maybe an outbuilding. And we have to take those as part of the program because we've deemed them to be structurally unsafe. I know that I've had a couple of conversations with homeowners that, maybe if they were able to get a contractor or someone that specializes in that field to certify that it's okay, could they keep the concrete slab? But unfortunately, we're not able to do so in the state program. So I wanted to make sure I brought that. That's all I have for updates. But again, I'm here to take any specific questions homeowners have regarding their properties or anything to do with the debris removal process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dina. Please put your questions in the chat if you have any questions. And let's move to Lewis. Do you have an update, Lewis? We're not hearing you. I don't know. Your mute's off, but we're not hearing you. You might have a microphone problem. How about back to Justin Nalder? Did you have any other comments while Lewis works that out? Okay, apparently we're still working out technical difficulties. Gerald, you look like you're ready to go.
Well, can you hear me first of all?
Yes, loud and clear.
So I don't have a big update. So out of the 109 parcels that were identified as being, having as part of the fire, all but four that were qualified to be reassessed have been reassessed. Bills have been processed. If there was a refund, all refunds have gone out now. If anybody has not received either a bill, a refund, or a letter from us, please contact us. It's possible there's some mail that's not being is being lost. I think it has to do with the PO boxes. It's still set. We still send them to the main address, but they're supposed to go to the PO box instead. So if you have any issues that you haven't had any response from my office, please give us a call. That's about it. Was there any questions?
No, thank you, Gerald. And I think most everyone knows that Stephanie, the postmaster up in Antelope Valley, is keenly aware of the folks who are fire survivors and property owners. And if you feel like you haven't received your mail, it may very well be at the post office waiting to be picked up. So I will check with her too and see if she has any, it would be like a return address from the tax collector's office, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay.
We've actually had a few come back to us, which we contacted them the owners directly at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Lewis, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is I wanted to back up to what Dina was saying regarding the foundations. And I've been in contact with a few property owners regarding foundation issues, but as Dina mentioned, the state program will not certify, they will not accept foundations. They're going to come out. If you opt out of the state program, you can't come into the alternative program, which there is a possibility or potential with the county alternative program to be able to keep your foundation. However, it is going to require an engineer to certify that foundation is sound. And so I guess I would want to put out a really strong caveat for anybody who would be thinking about pulling out of the state program to go to the county's alternative program, and that is be really sure that your foundation is going to be sound. So have that work done, have somebody come by and look at it before you pull out, because once you're out of that state program, you're out. The other thing is you should know that those foundations, even though they may look sound, the heat involved in that fire, as you all know, was extreme. And you can tell obviously because there's in most cases, there's virtually nothing left. So you can imagine the heat that was associated with that fire on the foundation and the concrete structures itself. May not be evident to the eye, but there are conduits in that foundation or in the structure, whether it be electrical, plumbing, rebar for structural portions of that foundation, those could be altered. So just be very sure that that's the direction you want to go. The other thing is, just keep in mind, you want to do your homework on the cost analysis as well, because even though you may be looking at thousands of dollars to rebuild a foundation as part of your rebuild, tens of thousands perhaps, you could go far beyond that in the debris removal portion if you opt out of the state program. So just keep that in mind. But there is that option in the alternative program to keep your foundation. There is not that option in the state program. So I wanted to keep, to put that out there and make sure everybody is clear on that. So feel free to contact me directly regarding any of those issues with the alternative program. I mentioned it before. It's virtually identical to the state program. All the sampling requirements, all the contractor requirements are the same. It's just the foundation issue is really the one main difference between the two programs. So I'll be happy to answer any questions after we're done here, or contact me after the fact, and I'll put my my information up here for everybody if they want to contact me on their own.
And to add on to what Louis said, regardless of whether you get an engineer's sign off on the foundation, the building department will require that you get that certification and approval through environmental health before we issue a rebuild permit. So be aware of that as well.
Okay, thank you. I know there's been a couple of questions that have already popped up, and I know that an answer has been also placed in the chat or the Q&A, but the people on Facebook Live, I don't think have access to see that. So maybe we could answer a question about tree removal, debris removal, and then there was also one specific parcel that put a note up that they had been notified that crews would be there for 6 to 4:10, and it sounds like they have not yet been to that parcel. So that's a direct individual property question. So I don't know if Dina can.
So I can answer the question. I don't think I saw the one about the individual property owner, but I could take a look in the chat, or if someone could read the exact question, I'd be happy to look. So in regards to trees, if this was the question you're referring to, how I believe the question was, how long after cleanup will burn trees be removed and will stumps be taken? So the first part of that question is tree removal basically is assessed after soil sample has been completed and cleared. So after we do debris removal, we then sample your soil to make sure that we have removed all ash and debris from your property. Once that has passed and cleared, then we'll do a tree assessment for any trees that are deemed to be hazard to a public right of way. Trees that have already been deemed to be hazard to a crew during the debris removal process have already then been removed. We do not remove stumps. So there is a guidance for us that we take it down, but we do leave a stump behind. And all of the trees that are felled either as a result of being a hazard to our crews during the debris removal process or are deemed to be a hazard to a public right of way, we do remove those and take this to an end use facility. We're not able to leave those behind if folks wanted to keep them for wood. Let's see. So let me see if I can answer. How long after debris removal does soil testing happen? Generally speaking, it's about 3 to 7 days. We try to get it closer to 2 days, but sometimes there are delays. So about that 3, really 5 days, do we begin soil testing, and that takes about 7 to 12 days to send those off to the lab, return it back to us, and make sure that they have actually cleared the process. So you're looking about a 7 to 12 day turnaround during that process. And I'm sorry, sir, you mentioned a specific property?
Yeah, but sticking on the tree
Sure.
issue, I mean, I actually lived on one of the properties that ended up burning years ago. If there's tree or debris, again, I guess debris is going to get removed regardless, but if it's in a utility easement, it could be a distance away from where the actual structure was built, but there's a utility easement along the border of the property that goes, down, and there's burned stuff, including trees. Will that be removed by Cal OES?
No, it would not be. If there is a utility easement or a county right of way where it is your responsibility, the county's responsibility to maintain that easement, then Cal OES would not move that. Where we do move it is if there is a tree on the private property that would then fall into like a public road or public infrastructure. We would remove that, but anything in an easement that is part of the county's general jurisdiction or authority for maintenance, as well as utility maintenance, that's actually the utility's responsibility or the county's responsibility, as it were.
Okay, so it might be a good idea if anybody out there, property owners, has that issue to contact as soon as possible the utility that may be, impacted, where your property is impacted. Okay, the question in the Q&A was specific to a parcel, and it's in the Q&A. So there's an APN number, and I think probably if Mary, you can capture that and follow up with that one with Cal OES. I'm not sure how to answer it.
So I actually, Supervisor, my team was looking up that question because they saw it before I did and was looking at what the status of that property. Yeah, so it says it's set to begin between the 4/6 and 4/10, which is generally not something we put the dates and timelines on. So it is currently scheduled on a runway, but it's what happens is they'll get a phone call about a week out when we think that we're going to be there, and then again 24 to 48 hours when we know we're going to be on the property. And the reason why there's two different timelines is if you have someone that is not currently living in the area or staying with relatives or friends, that gives them some time if they would like to be in the property, a heads up. And then for sure, when we know we're going to be 24, 48 hours. Generally speaking, it's about a 5 to 7 day notification originally, and then 24 to 48 hours. And the reason for the differences is that depending on how long it takes to remove the debris on the properties that are ahead of them, kind of changes the timeline. So that's probably why they may not have seen an update lately, is that they're running through a property. Maybe it's taking a little bit longer than they thought, but they will get that phone call 24 to 48 hours before we're actually on their property.
Great, thank you. And I would just encourage anybody who's, feeling like they didn't get it, they missed a call or didn't know, the information about the timeline, to just reach out to us, to Lewis and Cal OES, and we will get that information. And, I know not everybody has access to the internet and the dashboard, but it's a pretty detailed, kind of big picture of all the properties and where they're at in the cleanup process. I don't see Justin on anymore. Is there any other, or Justin, can you finish your update, or do you have anything else to add? He's definitely having challenges getting on. And just to repeat, if anybody came in late, Mary Boer is holding office hours at the Walker Senior Center Monday, 11 to 1 and Thursday, 1 to 3. And is also available if you need an individual call, Zoom, for specific requests. And also she's anticipating if things change in the scheduling to potentially hold an evening office hours in the coming weeks. So don't hesitate to reach out. She can communicate directly one-on-one with you, as well as being there in the community in person. And I see Lori Morris joined. I don't know if Lori, you want to give any update on the Nevada Resilience Project that's coming back for round 3 on Saturday, or if you're just listening in.
I was just listening in. Thank you, John. It has been scheduled for Saturday, April 17th at 1 o'clock at the Walker Community Center. And we will have the counselors on site, and we really look forward to the community attending. It's been very resourceful and helpful for a lot of our victims. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, Lori. Okay, so I don't see any direct other questions. Why don't we move to
Supervisor Peters, there's one other question in the chat early on that asked when they're going to start cleanup with multiple crews. And Dina typed a response that I think just went to the panelists, but they began cleanup on March 29th, and they have, I think she said 7 crews in the valley. So just to reiterate, that's already happening.
Okay, and I did touch base during this meeting with the postmaster, Stephanie Lang, and yes, anybody who has any questions about their mail, she's been forwarding it and or just delivering it to as it's addressed, but she's certainly available to discuss any concerns that you have about mail delivery and receiving your mail and your address status. So we have our building official, Mono County's one and only building official, Tom Perry, and April Saul from Community Development, the area planner, and wanted to get a building and permitting update from you folks.
Okay. April, I'll let you start off with that one.
Okay, sounds good. Good evening, everyone. April Saul, Community Development. I just wanted to start with a couple brief updates. So as was mentioned and posted in the chat, we did update the building and planning frequently asked questions today. That was posted. So if you have not yet reviewed those, please do so. That may answer a lot of your specific questions. It covers everything from, what's needed to rebuild and what those timelines look like, how fees are treated. All of the fees are exempt or are not. All the fees that Mono County could waive, we have waived, but we do not have jurisdiction over things like fire district or school district fees. We just collect those on behalf. So all of those types of questions are in the new FAQs as well as the old FAQs, but we did update this foundation question, and Tom can speak to that a little more if he wants to as well. One thing I wanted to reiterate tonight is if you are planning to move an RV or a trailer onto your property, you do need what's called a temporary emergency dwelling or TED permit. And you can get that form both on the portal or from myself. You can contact Community Development. And that will require clearance from both planning and from environmental health that water and septic has been addressed. And you will need one of those TED permits and forms whether you plan to bring your own trailer or RV onto your parcel for rebuilding, or if you plan to receive one of the Mono County provided LA County trailers that has been mentioned. So if you have not yet got that form and you're planning to do so, please contact me. The Board of Supervisors did extend the timelines for building permits, as well as how long you can occupy a TED, an RV, or trailer on your parcel. So that timeline has been extended to 3 years. You have 3 years to submit your building permit package to the county and get a building permit issued. And once you have that building permit issued, you have up to 3 years to complete construction. It is possible to get an extension if there are specific individual circumstances, but all of those timelines have been extended. And if you did sign one of the previous versions of the TEDs, say a month or 2 ago, those new updated timelines do still apply to you. So no worries on that. We will apply those standards to everyone that is rebuilding from Mountain View Fire. One last thing I wanted to cover, and I'll turn it over to Tom, is if you are planning to rebuild, whether that's a stick-built structure or if you're planning to order a manufactured home or some type of unit, please start a building permit process and check with us on regulations and building code and criteria. We want to make sure that everybody gets what they need and orders the correct units to specifications. And we're happy to work through the process with you. So please reach out. We can check your parcel information and get you any information about setbacks and building requirements.
Thanks, April. Just
Mike.
what April, just to pick up where she talked about this updated FAQ sheet. We do have that. We worked on that late last week. We had to really weave in the stuff that Lewis had mentioned about the state program, the alternative program that seemed to be like the missing link in our fact sheet. So we now have that. Thank you, Lewis, for that information. That was very helpful. And so we have now on that document a very distinct red note that just puts it right out there and says, if you're doing the phase 2 cleanup by Cal OES, you're going to have your foundation taken out. If you don't want to have the foundation taken out, you're going to have to do this alternative program. So that was a real big deal to put that out to people because it just seemed like the message wasn't getting out there. I think a few people missed out on that a little bit in the Round Fire in 2015. So I wanted to make sure everyone really knows exactly what they're getting into, whether they leave the foundation or if they take it out. I think that a lot of these foundations are bad and they probably have to come out no matter what. There may be a few good ones. And a point that I wanted to make was that a lot of folks, I think, are going to be doing manufactured homes up there. What I've been telling a lot of people is that if you do, like, let's say the whole foundation comes out and you put a manufactured home in, well, you get a big break on a lot of code stuff with the manufactured home, even if it's brand new. You don't have to do residential fire sprinklers. You don't have to put solar panels on it. There's a lot of stuff you get out of in a new manufactured home with a new foundation system. So it may not be as bad as it sounds for a lot of folks up there that might be going the manufactured home route. Also, too, I've been telling people this for quite a while, and I'll reiterate it again. Contractors and engineers and architects and designers are extremely busy right now. They got a lot going on right now, and they're going to be super busy this summer. If anyone's asking questions, if anything, tell them they need to start contacting contractors like yesterday to get on their books if they want to try to get something built this summer. I've already talked to 2 North County contractors, and they're either saying that they can't take any more work on or they're just done or won't be able to take much more work on. So I highly encourage people to start talking to a contractor now and also a designer or engineer if they need that too. It could be months or weeks or months for these people to get around to someone's job. So I just want to emphasize that. And then lastly, I just want to follow up and say that we do have an expedited process in place with our plan reviewer. I'm putting another plan reviewer on contract as we speak. The contract's being routed with county council. So I expect that to be done here soon. So we will have not 1, but 2 plan review firms that will be able to expedite all applications for rebuilds in the fire area. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add. Always available to answer questions.
So I have a couple. So when you say planner review, you're adding a planner review. So that is for everybody, that is an outside company that reviews the plans on behalf of the county?
Yeah, it's a building review, planning, plans and planner. It's a building code review. Yeah, and it is an outside firm that we use. It's the same firm that we've used for many years, who's been our go-to firm, and another one that we've used before, whose contract just expired about a year ago or so, that we're putting on contract.
So what's the, I know every property is going to be a little different, but what is the range of time for the results of the review to come back? The initial results to come back is question number 1. And then somebody put in the Q&A, and I know you're encouraging everybody to get a hold of a contractor as soon as possible. One of the biggest challenges pre-fire and more so now post-fire is figuring out where they can find a contractor to call. Is there a preferred list of contractors that the county can put out there, both general and subs. I mean, we've even had questions recently at the Chamber of Commerce meeting up in Antelope Valley that somebody needs a landscaper or somebody needs something done, and it's virtually like it's starting from zero to try to find somebody, and it's like just Googling or whatever. But I think I know the answer to the question already about, does the county have a list, or can the county can they support going with one contractor versus another? Is there what's the best route if people just they're up against nothing?
Well, okay, so your first question, timeline for plan check turnaround on an expedited review. What I was used to seeing during the round fire 2015 was that our plan check firm was able to basically cut in half the normal turnaround time for the first review comments. So normally it would take 10 to 14 business days for them to generate their plan check letter. That should be cut in half about more. So it should be more like, instead of 7 to 10, you're looking at like probably 4 to 5 to 7 days tops for their first comments. Then when they recheck plans, normally that's 5 to 7 days. That's going to be about cut in half as well. So it'll be like more like 2 to 3 days for a back check. What's central to that, John, is a complete submittal. So we're really emphasizing that people work with us and their designers to give us a complete submittal, because the more complete a submittal we get, the quicker it's going to go. There's a direct relationship between the two. So that's the turnaround times that I will be expecting from our plan reviewers based on what they've told me and what they did 6 years ago. And then with regard to your second point or question about contractors, I'm going to pull April back into this. We did put together a list a while ago with a bunch of contractors on there. April, I don't know if we still have that, if that's on our website or not, but we did put a very comprehensive list together of contractors that I believe we have on our website now. April, can we confirm that? Do we know that?
Yes, we can confirm how to get that out to the group. And I just want to, I guess, reiterate that these are not contractors that are endorsed in any way by the county. This is just a list of contractors that we have seen bring projects in. And on that note, I guess I'll just mention that, if there is another outside of the county group, the chamber or one of the fire relief groups, or somebody that wants to help collect names of contractors and subcontractors, that can certainly be done, and maybe even recruited from other areas, but that's not something that Mono County can be involved in.
Yeah, I think the county would host a list of vendors, contractors that the county has seen come through various projects, and put that list, make that list available through the chamber's website. That's what they talked about at their meeting last week, I think it was. So yeah, I would encourage people to share information as they get it. And I know it's a competitive situation where everyone's looking for the time from the same people that only have so much time in a day to give it. But hopefully there's a good referral network that takes place, and that people work together to share that information as best as possible.
Yes. April, if you could please send me that list. I think I might need to go through that list. There might be a few names that I know may not be on that list. I think it's good practice I do that. And Bob, you're saying, or John, excuse me, you're saying that you need some other resources like landscapers and things like that too, in addition to general contractors?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of concerns about just getting vendors in general to do work. This could be for also people that aren't directly impacted by the fire, but everybody's more heightened in awareness about cleaning up defensible space, all of that type of thing. And I think it would be good. And there was another question about, and I see Jason and Mary's hands are up, so maybe I'll just let them address this because they can talk about it. But getting me any of these vendor information, I can take it directly to the chamber or Debbie Bush is the chamber president.
Okay.
Jason, you had your hand up first.
Yes, I was just going to add on to what Tom was saying about the reviews. You know, most of our manufactured home reviews we're going to be doing in-house, and we can turn those around. It's a complete, reasonably well put together submittal. We can get some comments on that within a few days, and if it's really, you know, complete, we can actually approve that within like a week. They go through really fast as long as those submittals are complete and of reasonable quality.
Thank you, Mary.
I was also reminded that April talked about the TED permits for the placing the RVs on your property. They're also available in hard copy at the social services office there by the mini storages in Walker, if anyone is interested. April.
Yeah, one other thing I just forgot to cover is I've heard there's been some questions about re-energizing power on your property. And so essentially, if you didn't have any damaged infrastructure, then your home should have been re-energized when Liberty Utilities re-energized. If your structures, power poles, et cetera, were damaged in the fire, then you do need to contact the building department and initiate technically, you know, a building permit to start the plan review. And we have to look into, you know, the year that your residence was built and what planning and codes applied at that time. So just please reach out if you're trying to figure out how to re-energize power to your parcel.
Okay, thank you. And I did see a question that came through about irrigation ditch that has debris, and is the prioritization going forward to get those cleared so that water can be delivered to the water right holders, those who have decrees?
Do you want me to take that one, Supervisor?
Sure.
The response I gave back was we are prioritizing those properties. There are a couple of properties that have some additional challenges when it comes to those ditches, and we are working with Lewis and Mary and others at the county to determine who is responsible in normal times to maintain those ditches, so we can address some of the environmental concerns that have kind of cropped up during the debris removal operations. But for other areas, those are definitely a priority for debris removal. And so we're trying to work through this as quickly as we can, because we do know that there are ranchers that are waiting on that water. I don't know if you want anything else, Lewis.
No, Dina, I don't have anything to add to that.
I don't know if there was any other questions that were answered. I saw some things come through, but they disappeared. So I just took for the benefit of those on Facebook Live. I don't know that they're seeing the responses come through. If they're an individual,
I think
or
any
if
of
it's
the,
something
oh, sorry.
general.
Some of the responses we've been clearing off as we've been talking about them and addressing them verbally as well.
Is there anything on the Facebook chat that?
There's not.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything from the panel?
John, if you can hear me, I got a couple items.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about the technical difficulties. In addition to the TED letters that have gone out to folks who are going to be using trailers on their properties, there's also an agreement that gets signed with IMACA for the individuals who will receive those trailers. So don't be surprised if you get a second request for a signature. Additionally, I wanted to give an update on the landfill. We've got a lot of items that are going back in. We're still on track to try to have everything up and running this month, if all goes well. But we're working diligently and making good progress.
Okay, thank you, Justin. I don't know if any other questions have come through.
Not at this time, no.
There will be another public Mountain View Fire update tomorrow at the Board of Supervisors meeting. It'll be in the afternoon, so sometime after 1 p.m. It is on our agenda, as it is every time we have a board meeting, which is the first 3 Tuesdays of the month. And the first Thursday of the month is the Antelope Valley RPAC. And that also has pretty comprehensive Mountain View Fire update and an opportunity for the public to engage with Mono County staff. So if there's no other questions or no other comments that the panelists would like to make, April, oh, there's April, she's got her hand up.
Sorry, one more correction I was made aware of. So the list that we currently have is more tailored towards designers and architects and not necessarily all general contractors, but we can start to put together a list of who we have that's registered within Mono County using the California licensed contractor engine that's been posted in the chat. So we can work on that, but the current list that we have of individuals that we work with is tailored more towards architects and designers.
Okay. And feel free to reach out directly to April or to the EOC, the Mountain View Fire EOC, to get those links if you can't find them. And let's see, I don't know if things were just informationally put in to the chat. So somebody's asking if the link to the designers can be posted. I believe it was posted in the chat.
Yes, correct.
It is there now, but we can also, it should be part of the FAQs too, right, April? We can add it to the FAQs?
Not the list of designers and contractors, but I think we did have it posted at one point on the Mountain View Fire portal, so we can make sure that that's posted there, and it will be on the building and planning page that's on the Mountain View Fire website. But the FAQs is more about, you know, specific questions related to rebuilding and how it's goes on your property and those sorts of questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might, if we can add it relatively soon to the FAQs, that's what people, you know, what do I do if I can't find a contractor, and here's some resources. Just posting those links in multiple places would help, I think, help people too. Any other comments? Okay, then I will thank everybody for participating tonight and encourage everyone to continue to ask your questions, contact directly me or members of the county staff, Cal OES, to help resolve concerns. And with that, we will notify the community when we will have another Mountain View Fire community workshop. Don't forget, Saturday is the Nevada Resilience Project, and the donation center, one last thing, has moved from the community center, and I believe is going to have items available up at Camp Antelope, or a lot of things have gone to Camp Antelope. So I think it's pretty well known how to contact the folks that have been running that and volunteering, and just wanted to thank them for all the work they did throughout this recovery, and that they, I'm sure, will continue to do. So with that, thank you, everybody. Stay safe, have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.